I got something to say. Your show was actually pretty fucking solid. So let's talk about 24 Legacy right here, right now, right? Because I bet everybody's going to be making Dr. Dre jokes. So 24 Legacy is obviously a spinoff of 24. Now I love 24. 24 is a great show. I have pretty much all the seasons on DVD, and I was just rewatching them over to kind of get a little bit more familiar. Now the thing about 24 was it's a pretty great show. It was almost great from start to finish, or even great to good to finish. But eventually, 24 pretty much went from compelling to kind of cliche, and then it was kind of things going kind of logical to nearly improbable, and things just kind of felt like almost like a cartoon on some occasions, but nonetheless, 24 was still a very interesting show to always watch, even though some things felt like they didn't make that much sense towards the end, I feel like. That's just my thought on it. Now we have 24 Legacy. Now does this, the problems or whatever kind of occur towards the later season of 24 and this one, or is 24 rebooted, refreshed, and it's very, very much going full forward? And the thing is, this is pretty much still 24. It's not really that much kind of changed up. The form has not really changed, other than like the fact that now instead of the white clock, symbols with the numbers, it's pretty much blue. And I don't know why, but it's a bit of a nitpick. But I really did kind of hate that. I don't know what it was, but it really bugged the fuck out of me during this entire episode. I think the tension of this episode is pretty much still there, and I think the music is probably one of the best parts about this entire pilot episode. And I don't think people are going to kind of compare it to it, and reasonably so. But I don't think this pilot episode was as good as 24's, pilot episode just to begin with. I think this was a good pilot episode, and I think it was solid and it had my interest, and it made me want to see more. But it didn't really be like, damn, this is really great. Now, obviously, 24 does a very genius thing by pretty much setting up everybody within a day. And everybody pretty much has to have background information already fully established. Everybody has to have a history already fully well written that is not necessarily seen on screen per se, which is great. And I think they do a good enough job. Now, the casting here is pretty solid. I didn't think anybody really blew me away per se. And I think everybody on this cast has kind of like really worked, at least to me, to kind of like impress me much. But I thought Eric Carter, aka Corey Hawkins, actually did a really good job. Even though sometimes I felt like he was trying a little bit too much to be like a tough guy, I think he actually did pretty good. And we actually realized that this guy looks pretty great in the leather jacket. Jimmy Smits I feel like was underutilized, and Miranda Otto I thought she was actually pretty good. Teddy Sears, mark my words, this guy's probably going to become a villain. Actually, no, fuck that. I take that back. It's not going to be Teddy Sears. It's too obvious to be Teddy Sears. The guy that works at CTU. His wife I thought was a little bit annoying for the most part, and also his brother I thought was actually kind of good for the most part also. So yeah, we got the new look for CTU. That looks pretty good, and I don't know what it was, but for some reason I got major Splinter Cell Blacklist vibes. I don't know what it was, because CTU is looking like it's like rebooted and refreshed, and it's looking like third echelon from like Blacklist. But I got major Splinter Cell vibes over 24 vibes, weirdly enough. Now, Eric Carter is not Jack Bauer, or Black Jack Bauer as people are calling him. He's somebody different. I feel like he's a little bit more relatable in some ways, and he's obviously suffering from post-traumatic stress, and I feel like he did a good enough job of trying to detail that on his facial expressions. Even though Corey Hawkins is not really a big enough guy, I think his presence that he kind of commands on the show a bit, not Kiefer's type of presence, but a good enough presence to the point where you believe that he's a little bit of a badass, per se. Now, obviously, 24 tends to have a lot of storylines kind of going on. Everybody gets interwoven. Some things seem like it's not even going to make sense, but for some reason, it actually somehow does. Now, I enjoyed the Eric Carter stuff with the Rangers and, the Black Ops mission, whatever. Well, not Black Ops, but the mission just begin with and everybody being targeted off. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the Jimmy Smith's campaign stuff. I enjoyed the CTU stuff. But there's always what I like to call pretty much the Kim Bauer syndrome, where there's always some type of storyline that just seems like it's really annoying, and so far it's pretty much this Degrassi, terrorist high school love fling thing, which is pretty much going on, which seems like it was very, very annoying to kind of deal with. And I don't know what it was, but I just felt like this shit was just not that interesting. And it'd be interesting to see how far of a stretch that this shit kind of connects to, the terrorist attacks that are kind of going on right now. Now, overall, like I said, I think 24 Legacy, when it comes to the major storyline, I think it felt good enough to the point where I'd actually continue on. And also, we had a little bit of a throwback. I don't think anybody actually mentioned in some other reviews, but a throwback to 24 just in general, which was that I thought she was actually the most interesting character, or the second most interesting character for the most part, which was pretty much Edgar's cousin, which is actually, for some reason, she looks Hispanic, or she could be, Arab or whatever it may be, but for some reason, that's his cousin, wherever. So I thought that was a nice callback, whatever it may be. But 24 Legacy, I think, will succeed as a show if it can do what 24 did, which is kind of mirror stuff that is happening in the real world, especially whether you like them or not, you know, but the Trump stuff, if they can mirror some of that shit and kind of like make it, you know, fiction, really mirror reality, I think 24 Legacy can actually do pretty good. If people give it a chance, then I think the show could be something. Now, people could say that this pilot episode was just kind of okay. But then again, if you really watch 24 over, it was not really until probably about the 5th episode, I'd say, for me, that I really was like, all right, this show's kind of getting good. And I feel like that's where things start to pick up. But then again, that's just my thought and my opinion. If you actually enjoyed this review, comment, subscribe, share this video if you can. I'm Chris Smith, and I'm signing out.